Hey everybody. Yeah, I'm back again. JT here, talking watches. When I posted my first video about the Seagull 1963, Amanda on Twitter asked me to post a video talking about like basic terms and jargon that you kind of find in the watch world, and you know the terms that you want to know when you're getting into collecting watches. So I decided to make a short video about it. Yeah, so here goes nothing. So wristwatch check. I'm wearing the San Martin SN0116G, their new GMT watch. I've been wearing this ever since I got it, which was like I think a week ago now. It's almost never left my wrist unless I'm like taking a shower or something. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving this watch. Yeah, so let's get into it. Basic watch terms. So in watches, you have, we're going to start off with what's powering the watch, right? So basically, a watch is a device used to tell time, right? And there are various things there are various methods of powering a watch. So the two main methods that you'll find in most wristwatches are either a quartz or mechanical movement. So a quartz movement is basically a battery powered movement that works by counting the vibrations of an oscillating quartz crystal, right? And you can have a digital display like this for a quartz movement, or the displays can be analog, kind of like so. This is also a quartz watch, one of the first watches I ever got actually, and its display is analog. So yeah, you can have a quartz movement or a mechanical movement, right? A mechanical movement is basically powered by a mainspring that releases its power through what's called an escapement. The escapement just makes sure, like when you wind the spring and it gets taut and it has tension in it, that all the tension is not released at once, that the tension is released in small little bursts that then power the watch. Yeah, so those are the two basic types of movements that you find in watches. We'll then move on to the case. So basically, you have this diameter here, which is basically the watch diameter. We're going to use my SKX kind of show this. I've totally battered it, as you can see. I've worn it so much. I kind of damaged the straps. But yeah. So the diameter of the watch is the distance from here to here. That for this watch is 43 millimeters, depending on, if you're counting it with the crown or not. Then we have what's called the bandwidth, which is the width of the band here, where it meets the head of the watch. The head of the watch is basically this case without the watch strap, right? So the bandwidth for this one is 22 millimeters. The watch thickness for this one is 13.4 millimeters. And the lug tip to lug tip, that basically means from here, the tip of this lug, here to the tip of this lug, is 46 millimeters. And as you can see on the dial, let me try and move the hands so we can show what it says on the dial. There we go. So on the dial, you will see that this is a watch with 200 meters of water resistance. See, it says divers 200 meters. So you know that it has 200 meters worth of water resistance. So what that kind of affects, what those terms affect, is the way the watch like will fit on your wrist. So for example, right now I'm wearing the San Martin. This one's a 39 millimeter, and if I take this off, and put on this one, which is a 40 millimeter watch, you will see the difference in how it looks on my wrist. There we go. So there you go. You kind of see the difference in size from this to this. See? So yeah, so basically those dimensions will kind of affect the way the watch looks on your wrist. The trick is what the convention is that the watch shouldn't overhang the edges of your wrists. So yeah, so the lug tip to lug tip, the diameter of the watch will kind of affect that. Also, the thickness of the watch will affect how easily it will fit like under your shirt sleeves. So, you know, if you're wearing a suit and, you know, you have a nice suit, a nice shirt, you're going for a dinner, a formal dinner, you would want to wear a dress watch. And, you know, a dress watch, it's better if it slides comfortably under your shirt sleeve, right? So if it's too thick, then it won't slide comfortably under your shirt sleeve, and you know your shirt will be bunched up on the end of your watch, which is not really a great look. Yeah, so those are the basic like terms to deal with the diameter and sizing of a watch. We'll also talk about the different types of watches, right? So you can have a dress watch. So a dress watch is usually simple. You know, it should, well, the convention is that a dress watch shouldn't have any complications apart from the time. So this one is kind of a dress watch, but not really, because it has a date complication. And when I say complication just means anything the watch does apart from just telling the time. So anything a watch does apart from just telling the time is called a complication. So here it has a date complication. So it shows you what the date is if you set it correctly. I don't think this one's set on the right date, but yeah, there you go. This is more of a dress watch because it's more understated. You can wear it with with a shirt and a suit. Yeah, it's a little thinner than the other ones. It's around 10 to 11 millimeters thick. So it fits comfortably under my shirt sleeve. So yeah, it's not a problem with that. So I usually wear this if I want to look smart or whatever. Yeah. So after dress watches, you can then have like a diver's watch. So a diver's watch would be this example here, the Seiko SKX, right? More rugged, more robust, the case and its thickness is meant to withstand pressure and not let any water into the case to mess up the watch movement, right? So the watch movement is basically, again, what powers your watch. So the movement can be either quartz or mechanical, as we explained before. Yeah, or you can have your more sports watch type thing, which would be this, which is like a sports watch, stainless steel, 100 meters of water resistance. So this is more like your casual type watch, right? Moving right along, we've talked about types of watches. You can also, in the types of watches, there are many more than what I've presented, right? You can have chronographs, you can have fliegers, which is like watches meant for pilots. You can have GMTs. There's a whole plethora of different types of watches. I'm just presenting you the bare bones here. Coming on to watch complications. So I was telling you that anything a watch does apart from telling time is known as a complication, right? So for example, here, the watch gives me how many hours I have left, how much power I have left in the mainspring. So that would be a complication. Sorry, just trying to make it so that you can see that. Yeah. So on the right here, you see this is indicating how many hours of power I have left in the mainspring of this watch. So that would be considered a complication. And then on the left, it's showing me the date. So that would also be considered a complication because it's not the central aim of the watch, which is to tell time, right? So that would also be considered a complication. You can also have a GMT like the San Martin, and this one tells time in 2 time zones. So you can see the hour and the minute hand are displaying the local time, right? And this red hand here is displaying the time in the second time zone. So it's in the afternoon here, so it's 3 p.m., 3:10 p.m. in the afternoon. But from my little red arrow hand here, I can tell, because I've set it to GMT London time, so I can tell that it is 13 hours in London, right? 13:10 actually, if I read that correctly, in London time, and that's from the bezel here, which is this section of the watch here that I'm touching. The bezel is a 24-click bezel, bidirectional bezel. It helps me tell time in the second time zone. So I read the time of the second time zone off of this bezel. So right now it's showing me, see here where it says 12 and here is 13, but that's not marked by number, right? There's just the dot, and here is 14 hours, right? So I know it's 13:10 in London, which is the second time zone I have set here. So yeah, that's to do with watch complications. There are many other complications. There's tourbillon, which is basically putting the escapement within a cage that then rotates. This is to negate the effects of gravity on a watch. You can also have moon phases or day and night indicators, for example, as with this watch here, which has like a day and night indicator. I'll show you how that works. So if you look in the top left corner of the watch, I'm going to speed up the time here so you can see there the moon is rising. See, so you've got nighttime there with the moon rising. And then if I keep on advancing the time, you can see the sun is rising. And there we have our day indicator. So yeah, so that's basically to do with watch complications. So we've spoken about the different types of movements, the dimensions of the watch. We've spoken about different types of watches, and we've spoken about different complications. I think that will be probably enough to get you guys started in your watch collecting. Yeah, and this has been JT signing off.